Most of the plays we're going to look at with Spain, run plays, his ability in the second level, and this is really the first of a few bad examples from his showing against Houston. He's just an uncovered lineman here, so he's moving up to the second level to take out the Mike linebacker, Zach Cunningham, in this zone play. Cunningham's going to make a play on running back Samaje Perine when he really doesn't have any business in doing so. Like, there's just a stark contrast in fundamentals between what Cunningham is doing and what Spain is doing when they meet in the second level. Cunningham remains square to the line of scrimmage. He drops his hips and his pads, but he maintains a good posture when doing so, which is why he's able to disengage from Spain almost immediately after they meet. Meanwhile, Spain never squares up to Cunningham, even though he's an uncovered lineman. He doesn't have to worry about the 4-eye impacting his entrance into the second level. And then it just looks like he's just bending at the waist. You can see how he just drops his head there. Just because his head is, I guess, technically lower than Spain or than Cunningham doesn't mean that he's established any proper leverage whatsoever. Meanwhile, Cunningham just shoots up from his core. He's able to disengage cleanly, and again make that tackle on Perine. There's no reason why Cunningham should be a part of this play. Spain just doesn't really have to do much of anything, but it looks like a lazy and poor rep from Spain. There's just nothing really more you can say about it. Let's talk about being a scheme versatile offensive lineman. Athleticism matters a lot in short areas, and zone blockers need explosion out of their stance. It just doesn't look like there's any explosion when Quinton Spain enters his drive steps. Like, he's got the 4-eye Charles Aminu here. He's just supposed to drive him out of this gap. This is the point of attack for this inside run of Giovanni Bernard. There needs to be some semblance of explosion when he gets his hands on Aminu, and it just doesn't happen here. And that's why Aminu is able to get his hands inside of Spain's frame, stand him up completely after like just 1 second. He's got total control of where he goes from here. Just obliterates him, just tosses him to the side, and he's able to make a play on Bernard in the gap there. But you need that explosion out of your stance so you're not so late at the point of attack here. Because, I mean, the defensive linemen, they're going to read their keys, and they're going to recognize that it's a run, and they're going to get into their fits, and they're going to do what they need to do. But there need to be some explosion and just any semblance of athleticism from your blockers here when you're running these zone concepts. And there's just not a lot that Spain is showing here, and that's why he's late, and that's why he gets discarded there. There's no doubt that Quinton Spain is a stronger player than Charles Aminu, but it doesn't mean anything when you're that slow out of the gate. When I see this rep, I can only guess that this is something that Spain saw on film when studying Aminu, because I don't know why else he would do it. Like, I've never seen a punch that high, and I've also never seen a punch that high getting immediately swatted away. Oh man, I'm laughing because it's just funny. Like, you don't see this. Like, why is his hand that high? I mean, first let's start with his feet. I think there's a lot of wasted movement when he enters his set here. I think he should have already been a little bit further along in his landmarks in his second kick slide, and it allows Aminu to kind of get an angle there when he tries to bend around the edge. And I mean, Aminu has no impact on, I think, Allen's processing here. You know, he gets some help from Trey Hopkins in this zone protection, but the process of him getting beaten this easily against a move that probably shouldn't have worked, I don't know, man. I don't know why. Yeah, I'm a little bit clueless. Your hand should not be that high when you're punching in pass protection, and your feet should be a little bit more cleaner there. There should be a lot more balance between where your feet are and when your hips are. So sloppiness is just the common factor when you're watching Quinton Spain nowadays. Very questionable sloppiness. Let's go back to athleticism. When you're not a great athlete at the guard spot and you're being tasked with a lot of zone blocking and getting out into space, angles are so important. It's how you can counter that lack of explosion and speed of which Quinton Spain has none of at this point in his career, so he needs to take good angles. This is not one of them. It's an easy read for the linebacker. It's just a simple, zone stretch towards the left, and he's got this gap that's unoccupied by a down lineman. Spain has one goal here, and he fails. I don't think there's any wasted movement getting out of his stance and entering his drive steps and getting out into space. He just needs to take a flatter angle here. Because the linebacker, he has one read, and he's reading where the running back is going. If Spain takes a more horizontal angle here instead of here, but try to meet him as quick as possible, maybe he gets more than just a finger's grasp on him. It's the little things, And I don't want to fault Spain too much because he's just not the athlete that can handle these types of concepts 20 times a game anymore. So he has to adjust. He's a grown man. He's 30 years old. He's got to know that he's got to take better angles when he's tasked with these second level blocking and these zone schemes. 2 more plays here. It's important to watch both these back to back because they tell a story. Spain now has a 3 technique shaded over to the right of him, but he's still going to be going into the second level to face Cunningham, get revenge against Cunningham. This time, instead of trying to get his hands on him and square up with him, he just basically throws himself at his legs. Gets the job done. It's not illegal necessarily, but it's effective and allows Bernard space for his cutback. The rest of the offense line does a good job of creating movement. Bernard reads it well, gains like a first down, I think. So, if it works, it works. Does a lot better job of getting there at a more efficient rate and maintaining at least some level of squareness towards him. And, it gets the job done, gets Cunningham out of the play. So, good job of Spain adjusting. Next play is important, though. Later in the game, I think this is the 4th quarter now, Spain has adjusted. Unfortunately, Cunningham has adjusted too. Whoops. Didn't see that one coming, I guess. But, as the saying goes, when they go low, we go high. Not sustainable, no. Especially when you have a cerebral player like Cunningham who just recognizes these tendencies. It's probably just more effective to just learn how to get your hands on him and get him out of the play. But that tells the story of Quinton Spain right now. Not a lot of things are working. The things that do work, not really sustainable. Not really good process. Good players will figure it out, and good players will beat you like this.